everyone, Jessica from Club Pilates in Valrico, Florida, back with another Instructor Cue Test. So I'm taking things that you commonly hear in the studio, telling a little bit about why we might say those things, and then testing them out to see how they work in real life. So this next cue is one that probably needs no introduction. If you've been to the studio any length of time, you have probably heard this one, and all I really need to do is show you this, and you probably can already guess where I'm going. It is a grape. And one of the most common instructor cues in the studio is, imagine you have a grape under your low back and you're not going to squish it. We give this cue when we are trying to get you to work in a neutral spine position while supine, so while lying on your back. And this is really important. Neutral spine is a very, very important position to be able to find because it helps you get the most out of your work, and it's the safest. Basically, what we try to do is cueing that neutral spine, I'm throwing my grape, cueing that neutral spine horizontal is trying to get you to find that same natural curve of the spine when you're standing, but laying down horizontal. So when you're laying down doing that work, we don't want you to completely flatten out your whole back. In order to protect your back and to work that core, we try to cue that neutral spine. And I know when we're standing, we don't all have that perfect standing posture, right? So sometimes we have like a forward or a backward pelvic tilt. Sometimes some of us sort of stoop over in our shoulders a little bit when we stand. So really our cues when you're lying neutral, such as keep your shoulder blades heavy, keep that tailbone heavy, and then find that space for that grape, are really just to try to get that perfect natural curve of the spine while you're lying down. So let's give it a try. I've got my mat, and I've got my little Pilates bar to work with today. So I'm gonna go ahead and lie down on my mat, and we're gonna find that position. So real nice and heavy shoulder blades, my top ribs I feel sort of pressing down into the mat, really nice and heavy in my tailbone, and then we've got my grape. So I can actually, just with myself lying here like this, slide that grape in under my back. I've got enough space, I've created enough space in that nice neutral spine position as I'm lying horizontal on the mat to place that grape right under my low back. And from here, we'll do some exercises. So I've got my bar with me today. So let's start with footwork. A lot of times I know you guys commonly will hear that expression used with our footwork. So I've got my little bar here. So let's try just some presses here, trying to maintain that neutral so I can feel that grape just touching under my low back, but I'm trying to create the space there not to squish it. So when do we have you work in our neutral? I'm just changing to a Pilates V position. When do we have you working in neutral versus pressing that spine all the way down? Well, we have you in neutral anytime your feet are touching something. So when you're doing footwork, you're touching that foot bar. When you're doing your leg circles or you have your feet in straps, they're in those straps. You could be on the floor, anything like that. Your springs. So I'm just changing to a wide position now so I can test this out. My watch is going off. So that is what we call a closed kinetic chain. Good. So I'm going to set that down, and let's see how we did. So I can still feel that grape under that low back, and there we go, perfectly intact. So that's all about sort of working in that neutral spine position in your closed kinetic chain.